Hi everyone, I hope you all are great. Today we will finish up our lesson under the pronouns. We've had different classes under pronouns, so today we'll finish the two lessons left under. So first you have to log in using the aplusstudent.com. Click on any move on to language at the grade 7. Chapter is pronoun. Lesson will be use relative pronouns who and whom. Use relative pronouns who, whom, whose, which, and that. Okay, a relative pronoun introduces a relative clause that describes a noun or pronoun. Okay, so it introduces a relative clause that describes a noun or pronoun. The relative pronoun who and whom give information about people. So you have to take note that who and whom gives information about people. To figure out whether to use who or whom, you have to restate the relative clause with a personal pronoun. If the clause uses a subject pronoun, he, she, or they, then you would have to use who. And if the clause uses an object pronoun, him, her, or them, then you use whom. Okay, so just take note that the relative pronoun who and whom give information about people, and they introduce the relative pronouns in general. Introduce a relative clause that describes a noun or pronoun. Now, the woman who lives next door grows tomatoes in her garden. So we have who, right? So you can restate it and say she, right? Because you would say she lives next door. So who lives next door? Then you say she lives next door. Then Peter, whom you met yesterday, has four younger brothers. You met him yesterday. So him, then you would use whom. Okay? So you just have to make sure that you're careful when you use the who or whom and you restate them to ensure that you're using the right relative pronoun. Let's look at some examples. All right, so let's look at some of the examples, right? Americans observed their first Memorial Day on May 30th, 1868 to honor the Civil War dead dash mourners celebrated by placing flowers on their graves. So, whom, okay? Whom mourners celebrated by placing flowers on their grave. So you can restate it and have them. So when Daniel opened the magazine, he saw photographs of the environmentalists that she had seen gathering data in the national forest. So we have whom, okay? So you can restate it to them saying he saw photographs of the environmentalist, okay? So they had been gathering data. Okay. Let's go to the test. Share your answers with me, okay? So we have complete the sentence with the best relative pronoun. Janet Guthrie Dash was an engineer and pilot by training, became the first female race car driver to compete in the Indianapolis 500. So is it going to be who or whom? All right, so we can have who was an engineer. So if you restate it, it's going to be she was an engineer. Okay? So in 2014, sailors Dash were members of the Polynesia's Voyaging Society, embarked on a 3-year journey around the world using only traditional navigation techniques of the ancient Polynesians and Hawaiians. So is it who or whom? Okay, so we have who. So they were, if you restate that, at the community meeting last night. City officials condemned the land developers that drained the wetlands for construction. So whom or who? All right, so we have whom. So who, okay? So in 1876, Annie Oakley, a Max woman and star of Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, married Frank E. Butler, a sharpshooter and performer that she had defeated in a shooting competition the previous year. Who or whom? Okay, so we have whom, not who. Okay. I'm planning to house sit for the Morers that she met at the community garden reception last spring. Who or whom? All right, so we have whom. So we have the first woman in the US history to hold permanent military rank was Florence. Dash President Dwight D. Eisenhower appointed as Lieutenant Colonel in 1947. Whom or who? Okay, so we have whom. The coral reef of the southern coast of the island is a favorite spot for local drivers. For local divers and snorkelers, several of Dash Aaron accompanied on his last underwater excursion. Who or whom? So we have whom. Okay. Researchers found that girls that see their dads do household chores are most likely to aspire to stereotypical male careers such as business executive or astronaut. Who or whom? Alright, so we have who. So that's it for this first lesson. We will move on to the next one. So try to complete this if you haven't done it, okay? Alright, so relative pronoun introduces a relative clause that describes a noun pronoun. The five main relative pronouns are who, whom, whose, which, and that. So the relative pronoun who and whom give information about people, like we've said earlier, and to figure out whether it is used is to figure out whether you have to use who or whom, you have to restate the relative clause with a personal pronoun. If the clause uses a subject pronoun, he, she, or they, then you use who. And if the clause uses an object pronoun, him, her, or them, then we use whom. Okay? So the woman who lives next door grows tomatoes in her garden. She lives next door. Okay? And then Peter, whom you met yesterday, has four younger brothers. You met him yesterday. Okay? So next up we have the relative pronoun that gives necessary information about things. Necessary information narrows down that what you're talking about and is not set off by commas. We walk to a park that has a tire swing. The information narrows down which park we walk to. It is necessary, okay? So the necessary information narrows down what you're talking about and it is not set off by a comma. Now, the relative pronoun which adds unnecessary information about things, this extra information does not narrow down what you're talking about. It is always set off by commas. We walk to Glendale Park, which has a tire swing. Now, the information is extra. It does not narrow down which park we walk to. Okay? So we have the last, which is whose. So the relative pronoun whose shows possession. Okay? Emily, whose hair is quite long, likes wearing braids. So do not confuse whose with who is. Who is the contraction for who is or who has. It does not show possession. So just like we have Emily who is quite tall can reach the top shelf. Emily who is quite tall can reach it. Okay. So you have to note the different relative clauses. Okay. All right. Let's look at some examples. To all industry workers, dash amateur video of a tornado twisting around a North Dakota trailer park went viral online. We're quite lucky to escape the tornado unharmed. So what do we have? Whose? Okay, so to all industry workers, whose amateur video? Okay, so let's go to the test and you can share your answers with me. Okay, so to all industry workers, dash amateur video of a tornado twisting through a North Dakota trailer park went viral online. We're quite online to escape. We're quite lucky to escape the tornado unharmed. Is it first or second? All right, so we have whose. Okay, scientists at Stanford University are testing a tiny therapeutic implant device known as an electrotical Dash uses electrical stimulation to treat specific area from within the body. Is it whom or which? Okay, so we have which. Okay, so what do you think is the right one here? When the British band The Who appeared on the Smoothest Brother comedy hour on September 16, 1967, the drummer plays explosive inside his drum kit dash denoted temporarily knocking the show off the air. Whom or which? Alright, so we have which denoted, okay? The invasion of Asian toad threatens Madagascar's unique ecology. Dash is vulnerable to outside predators and diseases. Which of them? Okay, we have which. The first college freshman to win the Heisman Trophy was Texas A&M quarterback Johnny Manziel. Dash the committee selected in 2012. Whom or which? So we have whom. All right. So what do you think is the right one here? Who or which? All right. So we have which. So that's it for our lesson under the pronouns today. Can you tell me if you have any questions? All right, since we have no questions to end here, make sure you complete this lesson if you haven't done it. See you all next time. Bye.